There are over 1 million quotes that confirm music is indeed a language that connects and communicates effectively. Louis Armstrong once said that music is life itself, and Christian Anderson said, and I quote, "Where words fail, music speak." Music has been instrumental in defining cultures and shaping the world both as an entertainment and information tool. In the early 80s and 90s, the hip-hop storm could not be ignored as it brought immense changes in the events and fashion industry and introduced a tough vibe slang which portrayed a gangster index. Worldwide, it was cool to dress like Tupac, Jay-Z, Ja Rule, Missy Elliott, and the likes of Eve. Their lifestyle was admirable, hence playing a big role in exporting America's culture to the world. In Kenya, as far as this genre is concerned, the audience consumed this type of music. However, we did not produce commercial brands of hip-hop, as most of their music was dominantly benga and rumba. In late 90s, Lingala followed the same suit and influenced the audience in a great way. The likes of Awilo Longomba, Koffi Olomide, and Extra Muzika were the talk of town, and still, we were more consumers than producers. In early 2000s, the modern wave of music became visible in Kenya, pioneered by the likes of Caliph Records and Ogopa DJs. Caliph Records were more of storytelling, and Ogopa brought the party vibe. There were no similarities in sound, but they were all hits. In 2004, Genge came out strong with mixtapes such as the Operation Fagia series, which was mainly distributed in matatus. It was such a big and conspicuous sound to a point Jamaican dancehall artist Mr. Vegas curtain raised for Jua Kali during the Jipange concert in 2008. Genge and Kapuka was Kenyan's favorite genre. However, you could not ignore the emergence of gospel music with the likes of DNG, Gospel Fathers, MOG, and the late Kaberere.
The king of Kapungala.
In 2009, a new wave of music was experienced. Gospel music took a notch higher, and for the first time in 2010, Daddy Owen won the Best Anglophone Award during the MTV Africa Mama Awards with his style of music known as Kapungala. Kapungala was widely accepted in Kenya with hit songs such as System ya Kapungala and Tobina. This style was identified as a Daddy Owen style, and most gospel artists did not create music with a style. Gospel music dominated the airwaves with gospel TV shows and concerts attracting huge numbers. Award shows such as Groove Awards, New Year events like Groove Party and Totally Sold Out were fully packed. Clearly, there was no space for secular music at the time. In 2013, a new style that had a touch of bongo was introduced by the likes of Bahati and Willie Paul, but it was largely accepted by the new generation.
Shatala mazika yande, and to God be the glory.
Between 2010 and 2017, contemporary music took over and dominated the best social events, New Year shows, and award events.
The newest kwa hiyo group. Only 7 months old.
Secular music wasn't as vibrant at the time. However, a few music groups stood out. Only a few like Sauti Sol and Pionit. In 2017, a controversy emerged around the gospel industry on whether the musicians were serving the gospel ministry or secular audience. Scandals, dress code, and the type of content were questioned to a point of top gospel musicians being banned from the gospel awards and platform. All eyes were back to the secular industry. Indeed, it was a good time for another secular wave. What we did not know is that the wave had already started. On May 31st, 2018, a group of young, talented youths from Eastlands surprised the internet with music that broke all the unwritten rules of music as per the industry standards. One year ago, I embarked on a journey to find out information on a genre of music that was so powerful, with so many music lovers giving it attention, and also the talented artists as well. However, within 2 years, there was a speculation that this genre of music is dead. On this documentary, I'm going to be speaking to industry professionals and also the artists themselves, trying to find out what made this music genre so powerful, and also address the speculation that Gengetone is dead. My good name is Miss Kithinji. This is SPM Buzz, and welcome to the rise and fall of Gengetone. Ethic Entertainment, comprising Seska, SWAT, Reckless, and Zilla, became the talk of town, with SWAT being the people's favorites with a killer verse. In just 2 months of being in the industry, they became a big deal to a level of securing a collaboration with one of the top secular groups called The Council, comprising Major, Madrex, and Kid Cora. New groups with the same genre emerged thereafter, with the likes of Chungulo Family, with Bora Uhai Hit, and Sailors. Apart from a few industry gatekeepers, not many cared about the producers, directors, just good lyrics. Perhaps this was the simplest type of music ever.
It was exciting, it was fresh, it was new, it was very different from the music scene that was there before Gengetone, came into the picture. All right, so my interaction with Gengetone artists started about 3 years ago while I was still am a radio presenter, and a group of young guys came up to me and they said, hey, we think you have the connects, you have the networks for you to manage us as a music group. It was Sailors. And when we first started, there was no grand plan, to be honest, because it was a space I was also entering as a newbie. So I've not always been a manager, but I said, you know what, the content that they have has a good vibe to it, and I was also drawn to that vibe, the music, and I think the young people are in this space right now, expressing themselves in the rawest of forms, telling us their story and where they're from, vile wanafanya. And I said, okay, let me give it my best shot.
Gengetone. Wow. Gengetone ilishika. Ilikuwa na positive every day. Ongea kwetu saa mimi venye nilikuwa naangalia. Tukienda event siko naamini. Gengetone kuna venye ilipendwa sana, hata saa hizi bado tunaambia mbona mlinyamaza, but tunaambia inabidi juu lazima music ni kitu ina grow, sasa ni kitu always stay the same side. So si ati tumeacha Gengetone, tunapanda ni muziki, lazima tuko na demand ya watu wazee. They need to see, wanataka kusikia ngoma za fulani. So unajua ukiwa msanii lazima upige ngoma venye unaambiwa mafans.
Cheki wa mama ndio useme lazima iweze kabisa kama brain na katoto wazazi. Shika ziko kama brana uka.
And I remember, I mean, the excitement you could also tell and see from the people who would attend the events. The young people felt like this was our own voice. This was a part of us, and they resonated with a whole lot of the music that was there within the Gengetone genre.
And the name came out, Gengetone. The entire music industry was all about it, and the Gengetone music groups topped charts on distribution platforms. The demand was there, and it was now time for business. Event posters featuring Gengetone artists flooded the internet. New Gengetone artists popped up every week, releasing new music. Everyone can confirm that this was a wave that came with more releases in a short span of time as compared to other waves ever experienced in Kenya. Yes, there were opportunities to perform and make money, but there was a big task, which was the measurement of value when it comes to performance fees. Most groups were underselling. Eric and Sailors were the only groups under management being managed by DJ Carter and Mwalimu Rachel, respectively.
That time walikuwa ni Ethic ndio wanaanza sasa kutokea. So juu mimi niko na interest ya music, nikaanza kufollow up huwa Ethic, wameimbaje ngoma kayo. So at that time pia juu kama DJ na kama venye nimeinteract na mafans wengi, have interacted with the corporate world pia from the radio side. So I developed a culture ya kuanza kuscrutinize music sana. Sina wale wenye tulikuwa unaletewa ngoma unasikia hivi unasema hii haiwezi na sound poa, hii video si quality poa. So I used to judge music like that, but when Ethic came na quality yenye si poa na music tu yenye wameba tu lamba lolo and ikakuja kaingia into people's heads. So tukaanza kuona okay, hii kitu inauza na ni ya mtaa. But the way I was looking at them, sasa na hiyo mindset nilipata ya you need to have better sound, you need to have better video so that to be accepted out there. Nikakuwa interested sana kwa join because I could feel the talent and how they are rapping and all that. Ndio nikaanza kuwatafuta. And before nijue, nikashtukia now there is another group inaitwa Chungulo kidogo tena nikaona Boondocks imetokea. And it was all the same kind of rendition of music. So me for Ethic, au nilikuwa interested sana because nikiangalia background na wametoka Umo, mimi nimetoka Huruma, itakuwa rahisi ku relate. So I had to DM them kwa Instagram kwamba niko interested na ku take part in your music, naweza waonesha vile mtagrow. Niki move fast, then nilikuwa na bestie anaitwa Motif kama producer, and I really respected sound ya Motif. Nikajua tu nikiweka hii rap ya Amaboy na hii beat ya Motif and the sound that Motif ana produce hapo, nikajua itaweza. So I really wanted to fit in because hapo ndo nimekuwa na interest sana na nikajipata nimeingia Gengetone.
It is evident that management, good structures with wide networks, transformed these groups into big commercial brands. They started receiving bookings for big events, performing alongside local and international artists. Despite the management making an effort to brand the groups, there were also claims that they made it difficult for the artists to work with other artists on collaborations.
I would say it was sabotaged by a couple of the producers and the managers who were managing this young and fresh new talent that was on the rise at that moment.
Rachel hakuna kitu alikuwa na invest hata yeye alikuwa tu anawakulia. So yeye ni vile sasa alisema hata alijitoa kwa wao kwa sababu ameenda kwa kampuni nyingine because pia alikuwa anawakulia na wakaenda huko wakakuliwa zaidi. Una get?
Okay, I interacted with some Gengetone artists, but not all of them, just a couple of them. Because by that time, I was we wanted to do an EP called Dancehall Meets Gengetone.
KG, DJ Lighter, Bundos Gang. Turn you up. Yeah. Okay then.
So we had to reach out to a couple of artists from Gengetone, but we didn't manage to reach so many of them.
It would cost you a minimum of 250,000 Kenyan shillings to have them perform in your show. Despite the management making an effort to brand the groups, there were also claims that they made it difficult for the artists to work with other artists on collaborations. You as a producer, do you feel like these artists just lacked mentorship? And do you feel like you as a producer, as a renowned producer, you are in a place whereby you need to mentor these artists?
Yeah, so yes, it's true that we were having a discussion one day, and some of the artists, the younger artists who were doing Gengetone were a bit bitter because they felt like the older generation were not helping them.
Oh.
Yeah. I've had it numerous times.
Okay.
And for a minute there was this sort of like split between, this kind of artist and this kind of artist, feeling like, we need to prove a point. And it's okay, we have our own internal differences and so on and so forth. But you see, mentorship is not something that I can go out there and look for people to mentor.
Okay.
It's no problem.
Yes.
But it'll be more powerful for someone who needs mentorship to come to me and tell me, this something I'm struggling with in my life and I'd like to achieve it, and I see that you have already done it.
Okay.
For me, it's to be prepared to take in someone, walk with them through this process until you're able to achieve the results. But they need to want the mentorship and I need to want to teach. And then that creates a very beautiful relationship. I've tried before to get people and, like mentor people, create things around some young people. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And most of the times it didn't work just because we were not on the same page.
Yeah.
There's something that they wanted, which was not the same thing that I thought that they wanted.
Yes.
They wanted something else, and they saw this relationship as something different, and I saw it as something different.
Yeah.
Because a mentor is not someone who gives you things. No, a mentor is not someone who you go to and say, I'm short of this amount of money, help me with a loan or something like that. That's not the role of a mentor.
Okay.
The role of a mentor is someone you can go and be in an environment comfortably.
Yes.
Because you understand that there's a place you need to go that they have already gone to, and they can show you results of what they've done.
Okay.
So you can say, because I am in need of achieving the same thing that this person has achieved, then I can go under his wing to be able to learn. And I have to adapt myself to what the needs of my mentor.
Yes.
And my mentor has to have the accommodating facilities of a mentee, so that way, but nilikuwa tuna experiences more where nilirealize too, you can't just go around and say, I'm mentoring people, anybody wants to come, join in. It doesn't work that way. Let the mentee look for the mentor, and let the mentor have the capacity to train this person.
According to Mwalimu Rachel, who was managing the Sailors Group through MRX Media, it was not an easy task.
I think the true test that hit the Gengetone world was COVID, first and foremost. I think COVID came and really shook things up when it came to organization, when it comes to sustenance. For many artists, it was a hand to mouth. Money would come in and, they splurge on whether it's the alcohol, the party scene, the looks and everything. And now there not being any shows, many of them are found unprepared. So financially, they took a big hit, and without the finances to enable you to even go in studio and still make music, as much as you not have the video, you still have the audio to keep you going, it posed a big, big challenge. Another thing was, and this I think cuts across not just the Gengetone artists, but just the music scene in Kenya, music industry, is that we don't have many investors who go in to actually bank on these artists. So without that, there are many collabos that may not happen. There are many, structurally speaking, things will not really run as efficiently if money was involved. Bila pesa, there's a lot of things that can't happen. Kwa hivyo kama hauko umejipanga kusave kidogo, kama pia hakuna investor wa kukusaidia during those tough times because they know there's ROI, there's return on that investment, well then you'll be left there wondering, am I going to make music or am I going to eat? So that option, the minute it presents itself, of course the artist is going to opt to just take care of themselves and not really go into the studio and make music so that they keep on churning out content day in and day out.
When COVID happened, clubs were shut down. When clubs were shut down, these artists could no longer perform. So what was happening was that when the artists perform in different clubs, number one, they're getting new fans. Number two, they're interacting with the fans that they already have. Fans that maybe don't have a chance to see them, for example. So the main reason why I think we stopped talking about Gengetone is because of COVID. COVID did a number on the whole world, actually. But I feel bad because at that time, Gengetone was really at its peak. Like it was, and guys were making money from it. So that is what really that was what was making me happy. So that happened, some things are beyond your control. So for me, COVID messed up what they were trying to do.
I think COVID really dealt a blow to the Gengetone movement because you can't create music if you don't have money. I mean, there has to be sort of a flow of money for you to be able to create content.
Financing play a really huge role kwa industry. So ndio wase waendelee kutoa video na ndio wase waendelee kuproduce muziki wananido. Nilikuwa naongea na wasanii kadhaa walikuwa wananiambia issue ilikuwa sasa wanaekelea do lakini hawoni returns. And at the end of the day unajua music ni business. Si ati tu kwenda kujibamba tu yani.
But also, I mean, with a lot of sort of lack of mentorship and lack of support, and it's very difficult. Kenyans just don't support their own, I mean, they always say that hate doesn't have to be personal for it to penetrate. So a lot of people here sort of feel like they don't want to support because they just don't want to support.
Kulikuwa na hii wave yenye watu walikuwa shanza kuongea mbaya juu ya Gengetone. So of course mkiongea mbaya wasanii wanakuwa discouraged kutoa muziki. So wanaacha kuproduce muziki. So say reception ya Gengetone haikuwa vile ilikuwa 3 years ago.
And people will listen to Megan Thee Stallion and having lewd lyrics but then come back and criticize the same Gengetone artists for the same sort of probably even better or not as worse lyrics as like other pop artists. So there was that huge issue. And that said, then it means that the money stopped flowing.
Dance ngoma ya msee kwa club si support. Support ni uenda udownload, stream, nunua hiyo ngoma. Unaona? Enda pale YouTube, support ma views, share links, watu pia nje waone. Kama ni gig inaitwa, enda lipa tickets. Au watu wapate do. So hiyo ndio imekuwa issue sana na industry yetu. Support, alafu sasa unajua support. Ukikosa support una do. Unaona? So ina trickle down the chain yani. So that's the biggest issue I think these guys have.
And a lot of them suffered, like I said, the lack of mentorship, sort of the lack of preparedness and lack of managerial, sort of platform and agency for these kids sort of messed them up. And now you can see that a lot of them got into deals that messed them up. When it comes to contracts, some signed contracts with multinational companies and labels that ended up messing them up. They can't get out of, for example, the likes of Ethic, who now has sort of going solo because of those deals. So there's a huge lack of knowledge in terms of how the industry is run, and that has affected them. So now, Gengetone is literally clutching on straws. It's like it's drowning.
Management comes in the part of financing music ya msanii, financing videos, financing audio production, marketing. Management ni kitu very important sana kwa music career ya artist. One of the things zenye naweza advise artists wa Gengetone wale wa kitambo wenye bado wanajaribu ku make it na maybe they're not making it good ni to find a team. Teamwork ni kitu mzuri sana. That time artists walikuwa wana work solo. Artists walikuwa wanapatana as a group. They work without management, without managers. They don't have any team yenye inawasaidia ku run that music. So kinaweza advise tu yani ni one, find a team. Two, always make sure that you have a source of income, yeah? Because music kwanza inakuanga ni noma sana. Make sure you have a source of income and you can support yourself, yeah? Another, you can also try get the right record labels zinaweza wasign. You can get the good. Kuna record labels poa sana huku nje zinapatia wasanii good deals. And always before you sign these deals, make sure una consult lawyers if you have, consult your close friends when you're perform poa kwa music industry. You can consult with them ujue. So teamwork, management na financing, hizo ni vitu important sana. Nikisema teamwork namaanisha you should always have a team behind you. Unajua kwa team unapata maybe you have your DJs, you have maybe tuseme kama you have a group of TikTokers wenye wanakusaidia kupush your music. Unapata kwa group yako pia uko na watu wenye wanakusaidia ku go through your music. When you write your music, make sure una share na watu before you release the song. Organize hearing, listening parties, watu wanakuja wanasikiza your music before release your song yako iende nje.
Hey guys, what's up? My name is DJ Joe Mfalme, aka Mr. Sherehe, Super Sport manze pale maisha majikisa. Tutapata pale base ndani mbaya.
Structures and the players. Gengetone ilikuwa ya vijana kutoka ghetto. Ilikuwa ya magenge. Kulikuwa na nini? Kulikuwa na ngumi moja, ngumi mbwekse, Gengetone, mbuzi gang, kulikuwa magang. But you cannot sustain a product without capital. So Gengetone ilikuwanga, si tuko 15, tunakujanga kwa stage 15, alafu watatu ndio imba, alafu wa saba ubackup, alafu wa nane, alafu si ulipwa 36k, ama ikienda sana 80k. So ukilipwa 80k, na mko 15, hiyo do before mtoke kwa venue imeisha. So hamta invest kwa video next, kwa audio next, hamna pesa ya studio. So there were no structures. Alafu pia, nikumbuka nimeanza nikisema ilikuwa ni vijana wa mageng kutoka ghetto. So there was no management, there was no structure. So pesa ilikuwa inakuja inapotea saa hiyo. So then ainge grow. Juu sasa mna do ya kufanya video, mna do ya kufanya audio, mna do ya kuhire set. So amwezi endelea. So ilikuja kakufa because you have to invest, you need capital. Gengetone lacked capital. And capital namaanisha from themselves and even from the government. And if Gengetone was to come back, government must take it as a venye government chukuanga our tourism ni product ya Kenya. Why invest? Ministry ya Youth, Arts, Culture, why invest kwa vijana. Even the ones that had management, it didn't work. And if you look at why it didn't work, it's because you got a lot of Buddha, miwacha nikuambie, tukienda hapo tunachapa show, alafu hiyo do, hapana. So Gengetone ilikuja na ghetto mob, haiwezi enda mahali. Ilikuja na umtaa, ilikuja na uyole, ilikuja na ukibich, ilikuja tu na ubaba dogo tu, yeah? Ilikuja na ugeto. So haiwezi work hivyo. Remember, it's a business. It's a business. So vijana walikuwa, hata kuna time walikuwa naenda show wana fight.
Kuna a force that was fighting this industry. Na walikuwa wanataka sana ianguke. But sasa walikuwa tu wana dwell on the language that these kids are using. Wanasema kuna vulgarness. Wanasema they are teaching our culture bad behaviors, bad morals. So kulikuwa na always these complaints that bring these people down because we don't like this type of content. But no one came out to speak on how wanaweza saidia hii industry come up.
If by any chance the artists are not well behaved and they don't know what they're supposed to be doing, or they don't conduct their business in a proper manner, then it means their products will not be accepted for a long time, because most of the Gengetone artists or the product they were producing was so vulgar. in a manner that no parent will accept their kids or their children to consume that kind of music when they're near them. Yeah.
I mean, language is a huge issue for a lot of things. I mean, when you look at the target audience and who you want to target, language and language barrier will also always be an issue. But it shouldn't be an excuse. Because, I mean, if your target audience speaks Sheng or, and they will get out of it. And the good thing and the bad thing about Sheng is that Sheng is universal, but it's not homogeneous. It's not that everybody doesn't speak the same type of Sheng. So the guys in Kibra don't speak the same Sheng that is spoken in Buru. The guys in Buru don't speak the same Sheng that is spoken in Madare. And that becomes an issue. So it will only grow as much as people understand it. And it leaves out a couple of people who don't get the message. So the people who don't get it are like, yeah, I don't get it. But also not an excuse, because we sing to Burna Boy's music. We will dance to, to Kiss Daniel, even when we don't understand. We'll listen to Olamide or Kwaku, the general from Ghana, when we don't understand. The likes of Sarkodie, who always raps in, I think, the language store. So we will listen to them and we will appreciate them when we don't even really get what they mean sometimes. So it shouldn't be an excuse not to support them. But it is true that the language barrier will bring a problem if you have to, for example, you have to either broadcast the music to your audience, because every TV station has a target audience. And if their audience doesn't understand what they're talking about, they will lose their audience. So they will not be played as much because they're costing the agencies. And here I'm talking about the platforms, the TV and radio platforms. They're costing them. But also, I mean, you can support if you want to support. I mean, the idea of saying that, language is a problem. But also, and let's also talk about the lewd lyrics. I mean, we do know that they have sort of crossed that barrier in terms of what they talk about. But I think Freddie McGregor mentioned when they're now trying to ban dancehall music that has, gun violence or marijuana, they are reflecting exactly what happens in society. So this is a reflection, the mirror image of what is happening in society. But there's clearly a line that language does affect them in some sort of way.
The language definitely had something to do with it. The visuals had something to do with it. There was a lot of twerking, we do live in a very conservative, how do I say very conservative, but it is a conservative country. And we have a huge, disproportionate majority that practices religion, whatever faith. And so they would have an issue with that. But then, when you look at rap music, when you listen to some of the pop jams, the lyrics are a bit, look at Lil Nas and his jams, and people are consuming it. Everyone has their fan base. Everyone has people who love them and love their work and support them. If you choose to ever get into the industry, you should know that it comes with a lot of hate, but at the same time, it also comes with a lot of love, because there are people who, are your fans, and they mess with what it is that you're releasing, what you're dishing out. They enjoy it. So yes, kuna wenye walikuwa na shida nayo. Yeah, definitely. Language had a thing or two to do with it. But I could argue that, there are other genres and other international jams that are just as nasty, if not nastier. When you listen to songs like WAP and people are jamming to it, at the club. What's that line that everyone always sings to? Broke boys don't deserve no kitty. I know that's right. So, if you listen to the lyrics of the song, it's also just, it's nasty, but it's considered tasteful, and, Gengetone is considered tasteless and crass. But I think it has its audience. I think it has its audience, and the people who love it, love it. And we live during a time where people don't care about your opinion anymore. They will still follow what it is that they want to consume. There's Andrew Tate, who was banned from so many different platforms, and still people find a way to consume his content. They will go out of their way because they're his fans. They call him Top G. The same way with Gengetone. You may not understand it. If you don't understand it, my brother, my sister, it's not for you. And it's okay. Click next. Watch another video. We have so many gospel artists. Listen to them. We have some really nice R&B musicians. Listen to their jams. There's everything for everyone. So yeah, definitely the lyrics had an issue. The words that they used was a problem, but I don't think it should be. I think if you just,
if you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. Try and raise your own children and stop making it look like it's a responsibility of others or celebrities or musicians. They will find these videos whether you like it or not. So the internet, I mean, everyone has a phone. So they'll still somehow find the videos.
Ngoshida kwa language, kuna music za maju ni kuna hizo passwords nini. But I guess wase ilikuwa kitu mpya tena, kuna vitu zilikuwa zina mentionia kwa music tukia wase wakianza wakifanya music as in kuna hiyo side ya mainstream artist wako na mention vitu zingine kama sijui jaba juu nini. So the moment tulianza ku mention vitu zina happen kwa street, hapo ndo line tu ilikuwa wase waliona kama kuna wase walianza kusema maybe tuna mention vitu explicit nini, but if those vitu zinatumika mtaani kila time, hata ukiwaona wase wanaandika kwa comments nini vitu ando hizo ndio vitu zina happen in reality. So basically tuko nasema iko kama reality show ya ghetto.
Okay, mimi naweza sema okay, tukianza music zile matime za kwanza wase walikuwa nasema tunabonga lugha chafu ama nini, lakini ukichunguza sana wase wenyewe walikuwa nasema hivyo ni wase hawajakaa mtaani, hawajui streets. Ni mse ana criticize kitu hajui. Ujakaa kwa streets ujue venye wase wanabonga huko, ujue ni lugha gani wanatumia, ni nini wanatumia, okay, let me say drugs gani wanatumia, soda gani ama nini gani, yeah. So kitu naweza sema ni okay, wase wenye walikuwa na criticize ni wase huo mse. Ukipata mse ana criticize Gengetone ama nini, aje kwa streets ajui ni nini hiyo, yeah. But sisi tulikuja na ukweli, tunaongea kitu yenye ina happen, as in ina happen hadi saa hii. Hadi saa hii nikakupeleka kwa hood yetu saa hii, nikupeleke Gedho, nikupeleke wapi, inaendelea hadi saa hii. Ni kitu inaendelea, ni kitu iko, lakini watu watake speak up. But for the fact that sisi tulikuja tukaamua tuseme ukweli, that's why some people walikuja ku criticize, lakini wenye wana criticize ni wenye hawajui, hawajai kwa streets. Yes, yeah.
Right now, you know why Gengetone imerudi down kiasi? Because we lost the authenticity in it. Because authenticity yake ilikuwa the rawness. You get? Like mtaa, kuna ule mtu amegrow. Yeye anajua bangi inaitwa kitu fulani, ama anajua maybe mahindi choma inaitwa kitu fulani. So huwezi kumwambia mahindi choma inaitwa maybe mei ama nini, you get? Hiyo ni kitu new kwake. So yeye ataongea lugha yenye ana understand ama kitu yana relate nayo. So basically Gengetone, wase wa understand what Gengetone is. Gengetone was a lifestyle. Ni kama hip hop. Kuna hip hop, kuna trap. There's how trap artists wanna roll. There's how hip hop artists wanna roll. Kuna vile wase wa R&B wanna roll. Una get wase wa rock utaona tu mzee ameweka dread ama akona guitar yake pale, ameweka matats na nini. So basically Gengetone in the same way. Ni culture, like ni culture fulani ya vile wase wanajiexpress, unaona? Na hii ni culture ya wase wako huko down. Unaona? So kama hauko huko down kwa street, hauwezi elewa. So not unless you put yourself into their shoes, then utaelewa what they're saying.
For a fact, I can say that sio ngoma zote ni za kila mtu. You know, kuna ngoma yenye mimi naweza kuimbia wewe, siwezi expect uende usikize na mzazi wako. Unajua, because I have friends who are my fans and wanaendanga huko nje wanasema, "Oh, mimi nimeenda shoot ya Saru leo." Mzazi akisema, "Nionyeshe ngoma ya Saru leo." Watamuonyesha ile ngoma yenye, watamuonyesha hata kama ile wanani ama something just a bit neutral for everybody, you see. But I appreciate pia the fact that wazazi pia wameanza ku accept the fact that sio mangoma zote ni zao, na mimi naweza omba pia kuambia wase wasikompea mangoma zote ati sijui zikwe wazazi wetu wanafaa kuzisikiza, sisi tuko tunazienjoy at the same time, because wow, it's not an easy thing to do to like balance between hata nisiseme wazazi, I mean watoto wenye wako older than us. Unajua kuna different audience. So kuna ngoma yenye mimi naweza tolea tu wase fulani wa audience fulani, so mtu asisieni kama ambaye ako left out, because at the end of the day hautapenda ngoma zangu zote ambazo nitazitoa. Kuna ile ambayo nitatoa mzee wako anaweza isikiza, na mimi venye najua mafans wangu wengi wanapenda kusikia nikimbeza vitu zenye wazazi wao hawezi sikiza.
So let's talk about lack of funds, Mwalimu, because you know at the time that Gengetone was thriving, we could see them having shows back to back.
Yes.
Some of these groups had even like 6 shows in a day. So do you think as a talent manager there was maybe mismanagement of funds, or maybe is this lack of knowledge in show business?
So the thing about managing a group is what you see on the outside is very polished, it's organized, right? And that's the job of management. The back end, the expenses that a group has is way, way greater than even sometimes they take home. Case in point, with me and Sailors, this is a band of 5 young guys. When it comes to whether it's the rent, whether it's the transport, logistics. I mean, you can imagine hiring cars every single time they go from shows to shows to shows. Yes, you'll make that good money at some point, but if you also don't have, again, whether it's them staying in one house, I mean, Sauti Sol are a very, very good example. And this is what I'd even wanted for the group that I was managing back then. That they would opt to stay in one house, limit the costs. When it comes to getting a car, rather than hiring, buy a van that can transport them day and out. So now you just get a driver to stay with them throughout. Fuel costs will be lower because you're only dealing with one car. But you see, when the group opts to go a different way, a different plan, and you can't really force them to live together. You can't force them to go as per the plan. Well, you just have to be, I've been employed to do what they want to do, so I will only try my best to keep things running.
And there's a lot that people do for the fandom, whether it's, financing your clout, what do I say? Clout chasing moments, I don't know. But there's so many things, whether it's your flashy clothes or you want to get a flashy car that you can barely afford, you want to live in a neighborhood that you feel suits you, and the star, or the star at your level should be living in an apartment block or that kind of neighborhood. People do a lot of crazy things. Don't let it get to your head. Don't let the fame get to your head. When you have one good song, work at, to getting another one. Try and be respectful and kind to very many people.
And you see, again, when it comes to the money that comes in, the shows were the major source of the funds, right? So when COVID hit, the pipeline went dry. It was empty coffers, right? What sustained the group now was even the money that I had set aside in their accounts. So if that was not even foresight, they would have, in fact, ceased to exist way before, because hiyo pesa ingekuwa imeisha instantly. But because kuna ile pesa tulikuwa tumeka aside, that is now what enabled them to even, again, sustaining them now as human beings, not as artists. You have to remember, they will now become that point where you ask yourself, ni mziki nitatengeneza ama ni chakula nitanunua? So even for the next about 6 to 8 months after COVID, right? And there were no shows, no money was coming in. What was sustaining them was because of the money that we had set aside. In fact, that money was the money we had set aside to buy the car, the van, that was now going to be ferrying them from place to place. So we had to eat into those savings because hakukuwa na option. It's either that or they stay hungry. So you see, you have to make now a decision. So it's not really mismanagement of funds. It's number one, the young people just living in the moment. Number two, in terms of management, not having money coming in to sustain them for longer. Had there been a situation whereby the structures that are supposed to work when it comes to royalties, when it comes to the streams, if really that structure or that method worked in our country, then we'd say, okay, you know what? You can stay without relying on the shows. The money will come in from Akina MCSK, Akina, all these other streaming sites. And that money, as much as it's there, it's very minimal comparing to, one, the number of the group members that are within. Ingekuwa msanii moja ange survive. Sasa ni wase watano, unaona? Na wote wanaishi kivyao. Na wote wako na expenses zao. Hizo expenses hutaki kujua.
Now, Sedo, when it comes to Gengetone, there was said, there's a lot of freedom, especially during recording sessions. They were allowed to come in with booze, other drugs. And I mean, this is something in the past was not really something allowed or just something the norm. What are your thoughts about that? Did it contribute to what we have right now?
Well, I believe every creator would like to set the best environment for them to create.
Okay.
Some people, it's darkness.
Yes.
Some, it's being out of town.
Okay.
Others, it's a bit of alcohol. Depending on what you're saying, other things.
Yes.
But how do I say, we cannot use those as to say this is what has contributed, let's say, to the demise of something or to the growing of something.
Okay.
Because there are many factors that determine whether something happens or something doesn't happen.
Yes.
For instance, if the substances you're using are making it impossible for you to create that product, then that substance becomes the problem.
All right.
If it's in an environment of content creation, doesn't work for you, then it will not work also for, let's say, a performance environment. If you're messing up performances because you're drunk, you come to shows when you're incoherent, you give a bad performance because you're out of character.
Yes.
Those things will affect your career, and people will not want to associate themselves with someone like that.
Yes.
But if you have discipline, you show up on time, you deliver what you need to deliver. What you do in your private business, you do your thing.
Yeah.
We don't usually want to see the process of making the sausage because it's a bit nasty.
Yes.
But we enjoy a very well cooked sausage because that's what we're interested in.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, to be honest, sherehe ni sherehe itaki hasira. So, what is important is for an artist to show up, to perform, to give one hell of a show, and the client is happy. So, sherehe, I'll give an example of what we used to do. As part of their rider, you'd order their drink, come through, but wataonja kidogo just before waingie stage. And it was a fight before, ilikuwa fight kwa sababu nilikuwa naambia sikizeni, kwanza tuchape kazi, alafu sasa sherehe. After you have done a great job on stage, you have left the fans wanting for more, the client is happy, then now mnaweza jiachilia. Of course, you also have to put in checks and balances so that the group doesn't go too wild. So at some point, we also have to make sure that what they take in is not too much that they can't control themselves. It's not also good for PR. You don't want them kulala kwa mtaro na vitu kama hizo. So it helps when there's that management to just keep them close and keep them on check. But kama pia msanii ako pale na hana mtu wa kumcheck, yatafanya kenye anataka. At the end of the day, pia image is important. So I don't think they overindulged in substance abuse. I think they were just great to be able to now afford certain drinks, to be in certain places. They were excited to be there. And that's part of being young and part of being in the entertainment space. The problem really was the financial aspect of it, to keep the wheels turning. Bila hiyo pesa, hakuna kitu inaweza happen.
Well, my advice would be, if you are going to get into the game, don't do drugs. Stay away from drugs. Stay away from alcohol. Try as much as you can, to do so, because it does, it affects your judgment. It makes you procrastinate. It, of course, messes up with your dopamine levels, meaning then you have more depressive episodes. It's a very challenging industry to get into. Like I said, it comes with a lot of negativity and a lot of pressure, and you somehow feel like you need to do all these things, and the music videos are not cheap. The producers recording those vocals are not cheap. Then you have people complaining online saying how your song is shit, and it sucks and you feel really bad. But I feel like that feeling gets worse when you're on drugs, when you're on something, and then it takes away all your money.
Another challenge, which in my view, I think it's a major challenge in contribute to wasanii ku go down, ni mambo na drugs. Najua an artist ile time yenye anapata hiyo fame, watu wengi sana wanatakanga kuwa associated na the artist. So hawa watu wanakujanga around the artist. Najua most of them unapata maybe ni wako addicted to drugs nini. So wanatamaningi sana wana influence ama artist wanaingia kwa hizi mambo na drugs, unaona. Unapata like artist wakienda mashow hivi, zile ndo wamepata pale kwa show wanazitumia kwa drugs. So unapata vitu kama zile zinapata artist anashindwa kufanya, artist anashindwa kusave, artist anaingia kwa drugs, anaingia into depression, unaona. So like na vitu kama drugs was na tampa na creativity ya the mind. So unapata artist akikuwa so much into drugs, creativity inapotea, artist ana mismanage funds, unaona. So drugs ni kitu ingine like ni vitu zingine big sana zina challenge sana wasanii ku make it.
So some of the work ethics that I could advise you to follow, because music is 99% business, 1% talent. Event management is 1% winning a pitch at a client boardroom and 99% pure work on ground to make that client happy. Another thing I want you to learn, if you get a sponsor, as a Gengetone artist, do not aim to please the client. Aim to please the customers of the client. So the people who've attended that concert, if they are happy and leave there happy, your client will be happy. So the discipline that is required on your part has to be 99% that complements your talent. Your talent is 1%.
Nilikuwa na blame event organizer, but nikasikia story, nikaelewa. Juu sasa, tulikuwa tu groups, sijui ni Sailors, sijui ni Mbuzi Gang, sijui ni nani, I don't know which particular group. Si kama ni Ethic, walifika pale, wako watu 68. Wafika kwa gate, so bonso like, hey, buda, mwenye kina nani? Utujui, ni wewe, kwani mlikuwa ngapi? Wakafight pale mangumi backstage, wanataka kuingia kwa stage wote. So haina nini, haikuwa imepigwa pasi. It was very raw and unkempt.
Everybody else can have talent like you, but if you focus on the discipline part of it, keeping time, doing rehearsals, know how to connect with people, please, after you finish the concert, do not interact with your fans. Go home. Leave them on a high. Don't let them remember you as this guy who sat with you and we cracked you jokes. You have to be a mystery to your audience. Don't be too available for your audience. Let them see you on that stage, at your element, performing like crazy. When they say it's over, lights are off, you go backstage, head home, or wherever you want to head.
Some of us have been here for, this is our 15th year. How? Why? I'm still seated here today because of discipline.
Music is timeless. It doesn't matter. I'm sure even you sometimes you listen to music that probably your grandfather used to listen to, and you find it, I mean, they say there is no way, even if music slaps you how, you'll never feel any pain because it's good music.
Gengetone will come back, and I will personally return Gengetone. The reason I want to return Gengetone is because Kenyan music is dead. Number one, because of an identity. Gengetone is the identity yetu. Ni ya Kenya, yani ni ya Kenya. Ukienda Tanzania utapata Gengetone. Ukienda Nigeria, hata uende Gambia, hata uende US utapata Gengetone. Lakini ukienda Tanzania utapata nini? Bongo. Jotila na bongo, hiyo si yetu. Willy Paul sasa na bongo, si yetu. Jovela na bongo, si yetu. Sauti Sol wanaimba benga, hiyo ni ya Congo. Hiyo ni ya Congo. Hakuna musician anaimba, hakuna Kenyan music, and that's why there's no Kenyan music. So Gengetone is our product, and me, I want to personally push the government. Juu kuna swali nishaanza kuulizwa, Eric unataka 75% of what? I'd rather go of Gengetone. Hizi mani tunafanya, hizi inajiza ama piano tour. Can you imagine a Gengetone tour? Inaenda Eldoret, inaenda Kitale, inaenda Kilifi, inaenda Mombasa. Gengetone tour. Na hizo matimu zote.
So what you guys need to do is to come up together and say, listen, can we do a Gengetone festival? Approach some of us, approach SPM bars, and let's see what we can do. But never ever allow anybody to tell you that the creativity you have, the talent you have, God-given, of Gengetone is over. It's not over.
There is hope in raising Gengetone because it's not been buried, it's not dead and buried, it's not yet there. I really have to say. First and foremost, it's such feel-good music. Gengetone, it just makes you feel nice. I mean, the idea that, that you also sometimes want to learn some of the words, you want to understand what they mean, it's very good. And it's also good for the industry because these kind of conversations have been happening a long, long time. And I'm telling you, look at, for example, Ruga's Girlfriend. I mean, to be honest, that is the most Gengetone song that you can think of. And I think that's what people need to look at. Let's specifically think of Ruga's Girlfriend and think of Gengetone in this aspect. And the reason for saying that is because to say that Gengetone music is able to travel, but we never take it to the, like when you're on the cliff and you're about to jump and it's a risk you're about to take, and this risk will be sort of about dying. It's like you might just be able to swim. And that's the problem, that we're on the edge and we're like, no, let's just go back. I mean, not worth taking the risk for. So when you listen to Ruga's Girlfriend and you look at the moves that I think those 4 Kenyan guys who are doing the skit where someone was stealing from the other one, stealing the phone from the other one, what happens in Kenyan clubs, they came up with a dance that Ruga ended up using. But you can tell it is the most Gengetone sounding Afrobeat song. So if we're able to take that Gengetone sound and really be able to recalibrate it and to be able to just take it full circle and to push it and make the production more higher level, and just push that and have more. I think people have complained about having more quantity over quality. The problem with Kenyan listeners is that they like being know-it-all. They always like to tell people, oh, you should sound like this, oh, you should do this, oh, Andrew, you should sing more Swahili music, oh, please, guys, you don't tell this to Burna Boy. You don't tell this to Ruga. You don't tell this to Kiss Daniel. Just consume the music as music consumers and stop overthinking this ish.
The fall was important so that we learn from our mistakes. But Gengetone might come back. It might never come back. Yeah. But if it does come back, me I will tell them structures from inaanza hapo kwa group. Hapo sailors, inaanza hapo sailors. Buda mkilipwa 80K musikimbie mazee kukunywa na kubai maviatu. Ukipata 80K ya kwanza, future.
Well, we can't really take it back to where it used to be. I think we just need to accept that the ship may have sailed, but if you're an artist, you still have got your voice. Haijaenda. Naona. Whether it's this genre or the next, how can you incorporate elements of whether it's amapiano sound, whether it's the kapuka sound that has been there? What can you do with the voice that you still have, with the writing skills that you still have? Because we're still looking for that Kenyan sound, as we have been saying since time immemorial, right? So what is your contribution towards that Kenyan sound? Was it the melody that maybe we were using wakati wa Gengetone? Can you now work with it and finesse it a bit more so that it's more melodious, incorporate singers in your rap, incorporate the people who have already been doing music and inject a little bit of new life into the sound that has been there before. For us, I think how I like to look at it is, number one, the production part of it, because our producers also need to step up when it comes to giving the artist something that is really cool and nice and in the moment. And also for the artist, it's the melody. Sisi, I think we focus so much on rapping and showing our prowess, and that's all well and good. Lakini, angalia ngoma zenye sahi zinabamba, the Afro beats, the amapianos of this world. We're not really thinking about the words. We're not really thinking about, umse is a rap, 60 kilometers per hour, We're looking at the melody. Is it speaking to me? Is it tugging at the heartstrings, okay? And once we get into that, the melody and the sound of it, then I think we'll be in a good place to now experiment with it and come up with our very own Kenyan sound. May have a bit of Gengetone element in there, may have the other sounds that have been there before, but will be somewhere better.
Have a team that you set out to do a vision, and then you get to a point either you're not on the same page as a team, or for some reason you didn't get to achieve what you wanted to achieve, or just life happens, If you've gotten to a place where life has created a crisis, you can learn from it and continue pursuing what you want.
Yes.
Or that crisis can be the paralysis of you, and that can be the end of it. If you're going through a process where you're feeling like this is the end of it, no problem, explore other things. But if your gift is burning within you and you're feeling, you know what, I want to let this thing out, take a moment, recognize what your wins are, recognize that this is a challenge, but it's also a very beautiful opportunity.
Okay.
Because through crisis, through problems, through those kind of things, comes a new realization of, okay, this is what I did wrong, and this is where I can be able to correct, and that's where I can get to if I put my effort onto it. Because everybody goes through problems.
Sure.
Everybody goes through problems. You're not going through special problems because you're an artist. People are going through problems just because you're a woman. Just because you're a woman, there's unique problems to you.
Yes.
Just because you're a man, there are unique problems to you. Just because you're an artist, there are unique problems to you because maybe you're having a problem with your parents and so on and so forth. But the entrepreneur is also having problems setting up their business, and they have to go through the same issues as you. Use the crisis to be a stepping stone and decide what you want to be in definition to that crisis.
And supported your music, and Kenyans will support your music. And hiyo time mlikuwa mmeshika, hiyo time ya corona, mlikuwa mnajaza mashow, mlikuwa mnachezwa Kiss kila mahali, all the radio stations. So Kenyans will support your music. The only thing I want to encourage you, na nitairudia tena, is vile tunasemanga show business. Those are two words, kuna show na kuna business. So nyinyi mlienda na show. Kwa hiyo showbiz mlienda tuna show mkasahau biz. So Kenyans will support you. Na sitaki kuchapa wa Kenya when it comes to Gengetone. Saizi Kenyans are not supporting Kenyan music. I'm with the Kenyans. But Gengetone will support you.
I cannot tell someone how to behave because everybody has their own behaviors, you know. If you feel like your behaviors are okay with you, then it's up to you to see inafunga milango zingine, so it's you to change. I cannot tell you behave vizuri because I'm not anybody's dad.
Kwangu na feel like Gengetone haikuisha. The artist ndio like wali reduce kutoa ngoma in that zamani ulikuwa unapata like maybe every week kulikuwa na wale wase like let's say for example Bulldogs walikuwa wanatoa ngoma almost every week, but ulikuwa unapata saizi like they don't release as much, but it's just the content ili reduce, but Gengetone bado iko. We still feel like Gengetone iko. Yeah.
Alafu pia kuna reason mbona inaitwa narrative. Ingekuwa something that has already happened, ingekuwa inaitwa narrative. So it's just a myth, it's just a misconception. Ni venye alafu pia hizo mavideo za kwanza and audios ilikuwa tu tunakaa chini, we just go to a low budget studio, we do a low budget video and then we upload it on YouTube. Sasa unajua kuna vitu nini, we are doing music as a business. Ya kitambo ilikuwa kujibamba. So this time lazima ukae chini, strategize, ujue utarelease muziki kwa platform gani, si YouTube peke yake, ujue utashoot video ya budget ya how much, ujue utarecord audio ya budget ya how much, na ujue pia utamarket ngoma aje. So that's why pia unaona wasanii wana take time ku release ngoma cause there are a lot of things zinafaa kuwa in place. Si ati tu unakaa tu chini, mmeenda mna vibe tu, mnalewa kejani, mnaamua kurekodi ngoma, mna release. So there's very many things in place zenye zinafaa kuwa before ngoma itoke. So that's why wasanii saa hizi wanakaa tuseme for a while, not a long time before atoe ngoma. Yeah.
Invest back. It's the same thing Nigerians and Tanzanians are doing. Umeona videos za Diamond wewe? Ama za Burna Boy ama Wiz. Umeona hizo videos za Chris Brown wewe? He's invested. Kuna video Diamond ametoa jana, anatuambia anakuja. Nimeona watu almost 200 wamevaa white wanatembea sijui wanaenda happy. Invest your money. Now if you don't have the money, you cannot invest. Then you die. That's how Gengetone died. Because saizi hata how Gengetone artist tukiwapigia simu sahi, hata wengine hawana hata simu.
Do your thing the way you are doing it. Record with your phones. Go back to the same hunger. Go back to the same love and the same union. The moment you guys left the ghetto and felt like you had to be accepted by the guys what were uptown, that's when things started going wrong. You do your thing in your own way and we will automatically have to follow you. So yeah, man, guys, come back. I mean, Jesus rose from the dead. So please, do the same.
It is evident that management, good structures with wide networks, transformed these groups into big commercial brands. They started receiving bookings for big events, performing alongside top local and international artists.
SPM Buzz.